I kind of grew up in the industry. My father has been in the restaurant industry since I was born. I grew up in the Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater area. My father was one of the very first partners with Outback Steakhouse, which originated in Tampa, Florida in 1988, which became an iconic brand back in the 90s and early 2000s. It's still around today, obviously. Back in the day, it was probably one of the best restaurants in the nation. I went to school in Tampa, and the original was in Tampa, Florida, so I waited tables part-time at the original Outback Steakhouse back in 1989 when I started college. And, it's just one of those deals where I grew up in the industry, and it came very easy to me, and had a lot of opportunities along the way. Eventually got into management with Outback out west in Utah. And at the time, Outback had a very kind of revolutionized the restaurant industry in that every one of their individual restaurants had a local managing partner. So it was a local person who wrote a big, large check to own a percentage of the restaurant. And they did that so as to create continuity with a 5-year contract, whereas a lot of restaurants have a general manager. And that general manager could be in that restaurant for a month, could be there for a year or 2 years, but there's a lot of turnover in our industry. And with that program with Outback, it really helped with the consistency and the long-term employees with having one go-to person that actually had ownership. And so that was kind of my goal. Once I kind of got into management, I realized I was good at what I did, and I was offered an opportunity to be a partner in Oregon, actually. Wrote a large check at the time. It was $25,000, which at 27 years old, it was hard to scratch, and use my little savings that I had and borrow money from family and friends. I was on my way and finished my 5-year contract in Oregon and really missed Florida. And incidentally met my wife there. Been married 22 years. Drug her from the West Coast away from her family back to Florida, where I began another 5-year contract with Outback Steakhouse in Vero Beach, Florida. And lo and behold, when at that time, getting ready to finish up my contract, now I've been with Outback since 1989, and now we're looking at, 2007-ish. I was getting a little burned out and was basically pulled the plug and jumped into real estate, which was the worst time ever in my career to jump. And that was 2007. And I got a phone call out of the blue one day. They said, "How do you feel about Fleming's?" And very high end, whole different ballgame. I mean, Outback is 12-minute ticket times. It's casual dining. It's go, turn and burn, working from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, just brutal go. Whereas Fleming's is a little more cerebral, suit and tie, dealing with higher end clientele. It's different. I had been to Fleming's because it's one of our sister brands. So they said, "Look, we're looking for someone. We have a couple restaurants that need partners for Fleming's," and I was blown away. So I said yes. I immediately got into training, and they offered me a restaurant in Winter Park, Florida. And obviously I know Winter Park really well. I kind of grew up part of my life there. And so I said yes. So I'm going through my 3 months of training. I'm getting close to the end, excited to be the new partner in Winter Park, Florida. And I get a phone call that, "Hey, we have another location available if you're interested in Birmingham, Alabama." Now, mind you, I ran in college, traveled all over the country to a lot of great universities, but I'd never been to Birmingham. I'd been to Mobile, to South Alabama, but I'd never been to Birmingham proper. So I just assumed Birmingham looked like Mobile, flat, hot, no different than Florida. Well, before I said no, I jumped on a plane and flew up to Birmingham, and I was pleasantly surprised. It reminded me a lot of Oregon or the Carolinas. Green, mountainous, the vibe was amazing. So a week later, I flew up with my wife because I told her I was really excited about it, and then she fell in love with it as well. So pulled the trigger on it. Next thing you know, October of 2007, I'm running the Fleming's in Birmingham, and changed my life. That's what got me here. So I've been here for quite some time now, called Birmingham home. Did that job for a little over my 5-year contract, signed another contract. And at that time, obviously had a lot of opportunities just because of my tenure in the industry. And I ended up leaving Fleming's. I'm a big bike rider and runner, and I was on a bike ride with a bunch of guys, and a good friend of mine brought it up. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Applying for jobs and training every day, just trying to enjoy life right now." And he said, "Well, there's a space across the street from where you live that you could put a restaurant there, and I know the guy who owns it." And I said, "Really?" So within 24 hours, I'm meeting with the landlord of the space I'm in now at Oak House. And the gentleman asked me, what my thoughts were and what I wanted to do, what type of restaurant I wanted to do. Well, I immediately went back to the Fleming's era because it was the best job I ever had. I really, really loved that space. I love the upscale space. I really love just creating a memorable experience, high quality food, not go 1,000 miles an hour, just really doing everything to the nines. So I called my former chef partner at Fleming's and had him meet me out here along with my beverage manager, who had been a wine manager at Fleming's, and also a former partner that took over for chef after he left Fleming's. I met with all three of them and gave them my vision and my business model. And every one of them, without hesitation, said yes. And it gives me chills to think about it, because that was tough. I mean, that was a really tough time to pull the trigger on doing your own restaurant right after COVID. I've opened up over 100 restaurants in my career, but never with all my own money, all my own from scratch. I've always had an enormous infrastructure behind me, from director of R&D, director of development, marketing team, a CFO, a controller, like all those things that you just don't think about when you're just an operator. They all said yes, and I signed the lease and we went to work. It was the summer of 2021. I knew that a lot of my regulars at Fleming's lived out near where Oak House is, so I felt like I had a pretty good clientele base out here, people who knew me and trusted Chef Oliver and also Jay, my beverage manager, and Kat, who's my sous chef here. So we went to work, and it's crazy looking back at the photos when this place was a gravel floor and four walls to what it is today. And we just hit our 2-year anniversary, January 11th. So yeah, we opened January 11th, 2022. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. It's been so amazing. It's solely on you and your team. It's not different layers, like a corporation. I've opened up a lot of restaurants, but this was a very difficult time with finding subs and, it's supply chain. This is a very small venue, very intimate space, and we were able to rock and roll, get it done. We maybe pushed things back a couple months, but to get it open as quickly as we did was remarkable. I mean, 6 months is usually, most restaurants will tell you when you sign a lease, it's at least 18 months before you open the doors. So for us to do it in 6 months was remarkable. In terms of hiring, I'm a big proponent of referrals and people that know each other. So, our first team member that we hired, Jay, my beverage manager, reached out to somebody who he'd worked with, and that gentleman reached out to somebody he worked with. So we had a little core group of folks, and we really didn't have to go to using ZipRecruiter. In our industry, it's 100% turnover. It's crazy. And for me, it's been, knock on wood, we've had almost hardly any turnover in this restaurant for the last 2 years, which is an enormous part of our success, other than quality food operations and execution. That's been kind of on the back burner this whole time. I mean, obviously you want to grow. I mean, because when you grow, it provides opportunities for the people you have working here now, and they can move up. And obviously it's something I've done before. I mean, it's open to run 2 restaurants for me is not difficult when I was overseeing upwards of 70. So I think my partner and I we're happy with what we have, and we're going to take our time. And if we do it, we're going to do it right. And I don't want to have any regrets, and I don't want to chase it. I feel like when you chase things, sometimes that's when things go wrong. I feel like we have I think Oak House is amazing culture. Even only been open 2 years. People will tell you, man, it feels like it's been here forever. Even after we were open the first year, like I feel like you've been here for 5 years. I feel like we have a great culture. I feel like our food is spot on, very, very, very consistent every day in and day out. I think we are scalable, but it's a double-edged sword. So we're gonna take our time. So I tell people that Oak House is upscale casual, upscale when it comes to food. Everything is made fresh every day. My team's back there right now preparing blanc sauce, red pepper, butter sauce, the hollandaise sauce, the chicken piccata sauce, the pork glaze. They're making, we hand make our salad dressings fresh every day. Chef, probably in the next 30 minutes, he'll be back there hand cutting our steaks. We have ribeye and filet that he hand cuts every day. Very few restaurants do that any longer. I mean, they get them already cryovac and they come in the back door that way. And there's an enormous difference in taste profile between a hand cut steak and one that's already been vacuum sealed. We make our own focaccia bread fresh every day. All of our desserts, from our key lime pie to our cheesecake to our chocolate creme brulee to our white chocolate bread pudding, made fresh every day. So there really is nothing bringing out of the restaurant into the restaurant that's pre-made. We're very proud of that. And, we have a saying around here, if it's not right, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And there are some times where, Chef Oliver's doing, pre-check back there and he sees something. And I can tell you right now, our bread pudding on some occasions hasn't been done to his liking and he'll 86 it. But if it's not right, it's wrong, period. I got to tell you, we have our NOLA barbecue shrimp, New Orleans barbecue shrimp, that is our appetizer that is amazing. So it's like a Cajun butter sauce with sauteed shrimp. But what we have it on the menu. Our regulars know about it, but I like a filet with that shrimp and shrimp sauce poured over the top. It is lights out good. And I'll tell you, the way we figured it out, we had some guests that would order the shrimp and they were a little slow eating it. So the bowl of the Cajun butter sauce was still sitting on the table when their steaks arrived. And people in Alabama love their sauce. Somebody, I don't know who did it, but started dipping it in the sauce. And then all of a sudden it caught on. So when I go to a table to say hello, make sure everything's okay, if I see that bowl in the middle, I don't dare grab it because I will get stabbed. I think a filet with our NOLA shrimp on top is lights out amazing. So you're going to get the best of both worlds there.